So, I finally saw Captain Marvel. It's going to be tough to do this without swearing. When the movie was being hyped up, I thought, well, it doesn't look good to me, but I'm sure it will be fine. The studios have a history of making fun movies. After all, they're in this to make a profit. The movie didn't look great because every shot was of Brie Larson looking like she had PMS and she was hungry, and she was looking to pick a fight with her boyfriend. When your girlfriend says, I just think it's funny that Samantha from the office called you on a Sunday, but Brie, Samantha is my secretary. She was discussing a scheduling change. So what does she look like? Brie, dear, is this just the PMS talking? Maybe. Then she breaks out into tears. I got a feel for Brie's boyfriend, the things he has seen. The horrors, the things that she has done to him. Though to be honest, if you are perfectly content in going down on Captain Gender Studies, then you are mostly dead inside. They say water finds its own level, so if Brie is such a colossal asshole, then her boyfriend is also going to be a giant jerk-off. Still, blink twice if you need an extraction team. So, the movie didn't look great. Then she made her racist, ageist, misandrous comments, and if you don't have a problem with her comments, replace white with Jewish or black. The hypocrisy in Hollywood is pretty thick. See Weinstein. So, between her racist comments and the really lackluster previews, I had no interest in the film. I like many people, didn't boycott the film. It just didn't perk our interest. We would just wait till it hit Amazon or the pirate sites. So, I knew a lot of people would see the film just because it was nestled in between the two biggest films in history, so I knew it would do well. But I'm sure that it beat everyone's expectations when it grossed over $1 billion. Now, if I remember right, it did better overseas than it did domestically, which is less profitable for film because they take a smaller percentage of the sales. But that isn't critical. The film was profitable and will get a sequel. Now, this is where the numbers aren't as favorable. The post-theater sales are softer when you compare them to the big screen take, and more importantly, I'm guessing the toy sales aren't doing as well as they had hoped. I don't know if the numbers are out yet on the toy sales, but a film that makes $1 billion should sell a few multiples of that in toy sales, and there is no way in hell that is happening. There simply aren't enough feminist moms to buy Brie Larson toys for their daughters. Most feminists are single cat ladies, so if they bought toys, it would just be for Mr. Mittens to tear apart. Looking at you, Infamous. So yes, Captain Marvel is a soft hit, but it's not as amazing as that 1 billion number leads you to believe. But to be fair, it's possible that Captain Marvel 2 will have better toy sales. By the time it comes out, the character of Captain Marvel will have had enough time to percolate in people's minds, and she's had a little further exposure when she was in the Avengers films, which was one of the biggest films in history. So the stage is definitely set for Captain Marvel 2 to do well. So Captain Marvel had its opening weekend, except they moved the opening day from Friday to Thursday, or I think maybe even earlier, to give it a little extra help. So instead of 2 days of sales, it had 3 days, which, as it turns out, it didn't need the help. It did fine. Thank you very much. Of course, I realize that phrase has been done to death, but go watch the original where the phrase came from. You can find out. You can search YouTube for her interviews. They have to be seen to be believed, and not just one. You need to watch at least 3 interviews with her, and you'll know what I'm talking about. If you hadn't had the pleasure of watching them, you're in for a treat. Brie Larson really is as unlikable as people say she is. In every interview, she comes across as someone with borderline personality disorder. South Park has an episode where people compete to see who can produce the largest bowel movement. One of these pieces of excrement was fed Biddy, i.e. breastfed by its father so it could grow up big and strong and be the lead singer for U2. Bono is the poop world record. Well, Brie Larson could easily be Bono's sister. There is nothing good about her. There is nothing attractive about her personality. Fine, that is all well and good. But can she act? Maybe she was good in other films, but in Captain Marvel, she was completely flat and uninspired. And yeah, I know she won an award for that movie where she was a kidnapped victim. But That movie wasn't this movie, and she didn't bring her A game. And to be fair, technically, this isn't her fault. That aspect of her performance is entirely up to the director. For some reason, that is the way they wanted to portray the character. So blaming Brie Larson for that isn't really fair. If the directors, I think they had two directors, a guy and a girl, if they wanted her to smile, they would have told her, hey, dumb bitch, smile or you won't get the biddy. Now, I think they should have tried a different approach with her. They should have made her more likable. The whole girl power stuff was really lame. It was the 90s, not the 40s. But obviously the film did something right because it grossed $1 billion. But like I said, being nestled in between two of the biggest films in history had something to do with that $1 billion. But this raises the question, how much more money would the film have made if Brie Larson wasn't racist, sexist, ageist, douchebag? I have to suspect it would have made even more money. But Hollywood has no problem with racism, as long as it's only against certain people. So what happened was Rotten Tomatoes had a feature on their website where before a film came out, people could answer a poll showing if they wanted to see it or not. But after Brie's racist comments, a lot of people said they didn't want to see it. So naturally, Rotten Tomatoes just removed the feature to protect Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. Does that sound insane to you? Because it sounds insane to me. Then, looks like a typical California girl. Then after the film came out and people reviewed it, they said it wasn't very good. So the audience score was low and dropping fast. So Rotten Tomatoes simply started deleting comments. Any review that was below 3 stars was tossed out. It became a social media battle between the SJW/feminists and the normies/shitlords. It also sort of was a left versus right issue. So I assumed that women were going to turn out in droves to support Brianna Sidone de Salniers, her birth name. Oh, Bianca, how dare you dead name Brie, but F Trump. Anyway, who turns out on opening weekend? The same Marvel fanboy sheep who blindly support all Marvel films. The very people she victimized, oppressed, and marginalized with her racism. In case you're wondering why I'm using the terms of the cultural Marxists, it's because you have to use their language against them. If they call you racist, remind them that as an Italian, Irish, Eastern European, or whatever, that you don't have the power to be racist, that you have been systemically marginalized and oppressed and discriminated against. When they demand proof, say that they are oppressing you right now with their racist assumptions, that it's not your job to educate racist people. They just need to listen and believe. If you're from the Mediterranean, remind them that your people have been slaves under the Islamic colonizers for 1,000 years. Or if you're Eastern European, that you have been slaves under communism. I guarantee that you will make their little heads explode. Anyway, the sheep saw the film, and sorry if you're one of the sheep who paid money for it in the theaters, but they admitted that it wasn't very good. But they saw it because they assumed they would need to see it before the Avengers Part 2 came out. Of course, it was completely unnecessary. And even if it was necessary, it wasn't worth sitting through 2 hours of a lecture in feminism from a millionaire actress. I don't need a 40-year-old white guy telling me what they didn't like about my movie. Well, Brie, I'm sure they don't need a 30-year-old Jewish girl telling them what films they may criticize. Now, this is just the preliminary, explaining how a mediocre film starring a mediocre actor made $1 billion. Oh, I just saw this. Brie Larson, probably words I can't say on YouTube. The fappening? No. Nobody is enjoying themselves to completion to images of Brie Larson. She's like, I would love to meet the person who is able to do that, because there's nothing sexy about her. She is just flat and mundane, just mediocre in every way. And I'm not talking about her rear end, because I think being skinny is fine, it's great. I love skinny chicks, but there's just nothing to her. That's that resting Brie face. Not resting bitch face, but resting Brie face. Okay, the film itself. This is where I sigh a lot. When the film came out, and it had such a strong opening, but with mediocre reviews, people wondered what was going on. Then they started to post pictures of empty theaters that were showing Captain Marvel. I saw these videos, I just assumed it was a conspiracy theory. It was distributed across more theaters than most other films, so of course they're going to be empty theaters. I assumed it was just sour grapes. Then I got around to watching Captain Marvel. It's on Amazon and on various pirate sites. I was going to have it playing on my Kindle because I have Amazon Prime and Netflix on my phone. I don't have it on the Kindle just because there's no room on the Kindle because the external drive is full and the internal chip is full. And I had to actually uninstall Netflix off my phone because I didn't watch it, and I needed the space because I have a 128 gig external card on the phone, and the thing is full, and I have 12 free gigs on the phone itself, and that's like full all the time. So I nuked Netflix, and it's just as easy to go online and watch a pirate site, but I would never do that because it's illegal. So when I saw how mundane the film was, I started to believe that conspiracy theory people may not have been as crazy as I assumed. Captain Marvel is one of the worst Marvel films to date. Let me go one step beyond. When I'm comparing, let me say it's one of the worst superhero films, and I mean that across DC, Marvel, Fox, owned by Disney now, and Sony. Just means superhero films in general. And how many have come out in the last 25 years? Since they got really big about 20 years ago, and they started coming out 30 or 40 superhero films. Captain Marvel is one of the worst ones. The Hulk was pretty bad. Anyway, and Venom I wasn't crazy about either, but I like pretty much all the others, including, I know Suicide Squad was bad, but it still had things in there I liked, even though it had some kind of silly lines, silly dialogue, and it felt like it started twice. That was the weirdest thing when I don't know how long the movie was, 90 minutes, 2 hours, so it gets halfway through the movie, and then it seems like they restarted the film. It's bizarre. It was a bizarre film, but it wasn't, I don't think it was as bad as everyone says it was, including the other DC movies. I think they were okay, and they were working up to trying to make better movies. They just, they just didn't catch fire like Marvel did. Anyway, Brie Larson was the wrong actor for the job, and the director approached it in the wrong way. But Bianca, it grossed $1 billion. Yeah, but if it had Gal Gadot as the lead, it would have done $2 billion, or even Monica Rambeau. Maybe Monica will take over the reins in Captain Marvel Part 2. She, I don't know why they try to take these fetching pictures of her. There's no appeal to her whatsoever. But it's not her body, it's her personality that is absolute dog poop. So how bad was it? It was the first film in years that I couldn't watch in one go, and I've seen some bad movies. It was 2 hours of Brie Larson with resting bitch face talking to a green screen. Oh, and she is better in every way to Samuel Jackson and everyone else in the film. She can't be hurt as she is super powerful, and she has no weakness except for the patriarchy. Almost every line is delivered in a deadpan, I am too cool for this world, but really you pretty much have to be Harrison Ford or The Rock to pull off that kind of line delivery, and she isn't. She is just poor little rich girl, Brie Larson. Maybe it was on the level of The Force Awakens, but not nearly as bad as The Last Jedi. Nothing compares to The Last Jedi, though I am sure the next Star Wars film will give it a run for its money. Or who knows, maybe they learned their lesson from the debacle that was The Last Jedi. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe, or don't. Feel free to break my cold, dead heart. Yeah, I was going to show the movie in the background, but the free movie site, I think it's Sun Movies or some kind of solar movies or something like that. It let me watch the movie a few times, and then it's having problems now. But you've all seen the movie. You know what it's about. It's let me know if you get this far in the video how you compare Captain Marvel to the other films in the superhero, beyond just Marvel, but all the superhero films in the past 20, 30 years. I think it's got to be, technically they did everything correct, but she was just that face. That, oh my God, is that her face? Like, not even acting? Is that her face all the time? Okay, there she's smiling. There she's smiling. Yeah, she has a little half grin. This look, and this look. That was the movie. That was 2 hours of Brie with this weird deadpan line delivery. It wasn't exactly snarky, but she was talking to her partner, the SHIELD agent. What's his name? Samuel L. Jackson, in kind of a degrading way. This guy, I mean, I know she's a superpower alien, but in the film he's supposed to be, I don't know, 50 or something. So he's got a lot of experience as a military officer and as a, I don't know, whatever SHIELD is, government agent. And then they kind of have him just acting like a total jackass with the cat, being really silly Billy. And she's talking down to him. She wasn't exactly smarmy about it, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I don't know what you don't see. This is the thing that NPCs do. They feel they have to put other people down to elevate themselves. You don't need to do that. You can have both the lead and the supporting guy both be cool. And then there was the cat scratch. The Flurkin, the cat, scratched his eye out. Okay, I won't swear, but are you kidding me? Imagine I'm swearing. Are you kidding me? The scene, the cat scratches the eye out, and everyone, you know what's going to happen, because I guess they teased it in the previews, because this is how he loses an eye. Okay, in the prior movies, he'd said something like, he had trusted people, and it cost him an eye. So the only way you can make him lose his eye is he's got to, someone has to betray him, and he's got to be injured in a firefight or an explosion, something like that. That's the only way that it makes sense. And it doesn't have to be a big scene. It just has to be a betrayal and a shrapnel from an explosion, something like that. Because he trusted someone he shouldn't have. Something, anything. No, the cat scratched his eye. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next episode.